Jesus wasn't a pacifist.
He wasn't, in the sense that like he fought, he contended, but he contended in love.
He
did. Called us to fight, but he's called us to contend in love also. And we're
so you don't think there's any reason for violence?
Physical violence, no.
Right.
No.
So if somebody is raping your wife or your children, or, you know, somebody's killing them, and you have it's within your
situation.
Okay, well, I mean, you're giving me a hypothetical situation too. So I mean, you know.
What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna defend them. I'm gonna defend them, and I'm gonna defend my own life too. Okay, you know, somebody's attacking me. I'm going to defend my life.
So, but Jesus said.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
I mean, just to see whether you actually believe in defending the innocent. If there's 10 men attacking you and you're alone with your 9mm and you think you're gonna get, so one guy steps up to the door and asks for you to let him through there so he can go in and do whatever he wants to with your wife and children, and you say no, and you pull out your gun, and he's got a gun, but there's 5 men behind him that have machine guns. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna fight till I die.
Okay, so you would fight till you die.
Sure.
And then they go in and do whatever they want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna resist.
Yeah, so you would fight even with all odds against you.
Okay, now get back to my question.
Sure.
Okay. Somebody's doing that to your wife. What are you gonna do? Your wife and children.
Well, I think God is bigger than me, so I will leave it in God's hands, and if I would maybe ask him to not to come in or whatever, but if he pushes me down and goes in there anyways, I'll let God take over and control.
Why would he push you down if you're not resisting?
Well, or just push me aside if I'd stand there.
So you wouldn't do anything. Your wife and children are screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, help me!" You know, and what's your name?
Harvey,
help me! And you're not going to do anything.
Well, I mean, I've never heard. I mean, these kind of situations are always coming up, but I've never heard of someone with the presence of another man being in there that they go in there and do that. So what are you going to do if they tie you up and do that?
Well, I'm not going to let them tie me up.
Well, they might overpower you.
They might, but I'm going to fight.
If you can make hypothetical situations.
Sure. Well, I'm answering your hypothetical situation. I'm fighting.
But Jesus taught us, whether it's right or whether we want to or not, Jesus taught us to love them.
Did he?
So you could give them coffee.
Why do you think he had? Why do you think he told us to have a sword? You know, if you don't have a sword, buy one. Why do you think he said that?
Well, he said that he'd be numbered with the transgressors. So
that's what the Apostle Luke said it.
Yeah.
Right, Luke 19.
So that was so you'd be numbered with the transgressors. So basically, he was saying that because I need you to have swords, so it looks like I'm with sinners. So I'm with bad people, with a bad crowd. So, and you know what he told Peter when he started using that sword to defend himself?
Yeah, he says he said put up your sword because for that singular time, okay,
no,
Jesus was supposed to be. Jesus was supposed to be. Yeah.
But what did he say?
If any man,
he said put up your sword. He said put up your sword.
Because those that kill with the sword
will die by the sword. Yeah, I would rather die by the sword.
Put it back where it belongs. It belonged in a sheath. He wasn't supposed to use it.
But that was for that one singular time.
It doesn't say that.
It was for that time because he says that he who doesn't have a sword sell his cloak and buy one. Okay, sell his cloak and buy one.
Right. So, but he said we got 2 swords, Master. He said that's enough.
Right.
I think you have this reversed because that was for that particular instance that he told him to do that.
Well,
he didn't. And if you look, tell me, like, when did the apostles ever take up a sword after that? When did they defend themselves? You know, 11 out of the 12 died martyrs' deaths.
Yeah, they were overpowered and they died martyrs' deaths.
But they willingly laid down their lives.
Right. They
and so did all of the early Christians in Rome. You know, even some of the women, I mean, they were like, they had all of
There were no
clothes.
Christian soldiers?
Then there
are no Christian police? No. So you guys pacifists?
No.
You're not? So then,
we do seek and pursue peace. But I would not class myself as a pacifist.
are you Mennonites?
No.
Where are you from?
I'm from southwestern Missouri.
Okay.
And the reason I don't consider myself a pacifist is because pacifists, for the most part, will still take up arms to defend themselves.
Oh,
And I believe in non-resistance. Jesus said if somebody smites you on the right cheek, turn the left one. He said you've heard that it was said an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say resist not evil.
well, what about when somebody else is being killed? What about the scripture that says, rescue those who are unjustly being led away to the slaughter? Okay, and you have to use force in order to rescue them.
Well,
It's fine to turn your cheek, you know, but what about forcing somebody to turn their cheek?
that is in the Old Testament. Jesus came.
Or then you don't believe the Old Testament is of any value?
I didn't say the Old Testament is of no value, but the Old Testament is pointing forward to something. Moses himself, after writing everything in the Mosaic Law, says, "Yet one more prophet will I raise out of my people. Hear him." And when he came, and when
did Jesus exist prior to 2,000 years ago? Is he not the creator?
He did, but he clearly came and said the law and the prophets were until John. Now the kingdom is preached and every man presses into it. And he went on to preach like the Sermon on the Mount. He said, "You've heard that it has been said so and so. I say unto you so and so."
So that nullifies everything that was said before in the Old Testament.
It what?
That nullifies everything that was said before in the Old Testament.
It fulfills everything that was said in the Old Testament. It fulfills it.
Well, sure.
There's plenty of reasons and uses for a sword, and we can't just conclude because he said go sell your coat and buy a sword that goes against what he said, love your enemies and bless them that curse you. No.
Are there any Christian policemen or soldiers?
I do not think that you could be a soldier in active duty and be a Christian because you cannot follow what Christ said.
Then you can't defend your country.
No,
you can't defend
This is not God's turf. This is not God's turf at all.
But you can't defend your family or your country or your city.
With violence, no.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I want to just clarify where you're at.
That's right.